All right, welcome back everyone. I think I'm live. Well, I hope I'm live. Let me know in the chat if everything works well, if you can see me and if you can hear me. So, but I think everything should be fine. So yeah, I'm just gonna wait a little bit more for some people to join. I'm live. That's great. So today, fantastic. Everything is working well. That's great to hear. So today the topic of the stream overall is just to react to Hikaru's video about my video. So kind of a reaction of a reaction. Let me just close some tabs here. I'm gonna quit that. And yeah. So yeah, a reaction of Hikaru's video, which he made about my video, which went sort of viral from January, about the struggles of being a chess professional. And I just want to use the stream to answer some more of your possible questions, and also to also maybe to correct some things which I said in that video and which I now maybe changed my mind. So I just want to be fully transparent and fully honest about everything. And I also thought that many things which Hikaru said are quite interesting as well. So welcome everyone in the chat. Keep up the mood and realness. Yeah, I try to keep everything just honest, and I don't want to I just don't want to like lie to any of you and just give you my unfiltered opinion basically on everything. So I'm glad that that made you a fan. Glad to hear that. Archer commenting, would like to watch the stream but have to study. Yeah, unfortunately you have to set your priorities. Of course, studying is more important, but you can always watch the stream. You can always watch the stream afterwards. So let's jump right in to the action. So we got the video here, and in general what I want to do is to just go through the video, and then I want to stop at some moments where I would like to say some things. And in general, I will also skip some parts of mine, because my video is in general quite long and I didn't speak that fast at all. I might also speed up the video. Hikaru did the same as well. So we're gonna skip some parts, but yeah, let's jump right into it. So let's go to the start. Also, let me know, guys, if the volume is fine. Did he say 2600? I think he said I'm around 2600. Is that? Yeah. So that's no audio. Okay, thank you for letting me know. I'm gonna change that. And yeah, now you should have audio, right?
Actually talk about this. He's just a genius.
Now you have audio, right? Thanks for letting me know, guys. Can't hear that Japanese guy.
The problem with Magnus,
now you should be able to hear both me and Hikaru, right?
He's a genius. All right, you guys. So we're gonna start with the content bit here. The first video that we're gonna start with right now. It's called "Being a Chess Professional."
Audio works.
Sucks. It features the
Perfect.
Austrian Grandmaster Felix Bloberger. I think he's around like 2600. I could be wrong on the exact rating that he's at.
Yeah, so that was kind of an honor, around 2600, which unfortunately later he was corrected. But yeah, hopefully soon enough he will be right with that assessment.
Well, let's get right into it.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a new video, again, kind of in a raw format, about a topic which is quite an emotional one for me. So I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. Speak about for quite some time already. The topic is being a chess professional, especially in Europe.
Yes.
And as you can read from the title, it's something which I'm not totally happy about with how it's currently going. Okay, video's a bit silent.
Let me double check on his rating. Just
video is a bit silent, so I just adjusted that a little bit. And yeah, now is the first thing.
Just so I don't give you guys misinformation, let me see exactly what his rating is. But yeah, so his current rating is, oh no, his rating is 2533. So I was a little bit off. His rating is 20.
Yeah, he was a little bit off. So the video now is a little bit more, is a little bit louder. So I hope it's fine now. Let me know, guys, if you want to, if you would like to have it a little bit more louder. But yeah, I think that should be good.
2533. So this is somebody who's probably 2530 is, I'm going to guess, maybe top 200 in the world, top 250. Obviously getting to this level.
Yeah, just to be fully honest, I'm not around top 200 or top 250. I think currently I'm like top 450 in the world or top 500, something along those lines. So yeah.
It's quite significant. I mean, you put in a lot of time and effort. And it's not surprising me that he's probably unhappy because he thinks he's putting all this work and he's probably financially, it's not viable.
Yeah, about that, which a tiny bit louder, more louder. Okay, I'm gonna. So yeah, now it's a little bit louder. So now the first thing, which yeah, kind of came a little bit wrong, I think, in the video overall. And I don't blame anyone for taking it like that. The video was like purely intended for kind of informational purposes. Of course, I seemed quite emotional, which I was, because simply I see that it affects many of my friends and colleagues. But for me personally, kind of being a chess professional already, yeah, has been out of the question already for quite some time. And yeah, this is just one thing to point out. It was like purely for informational purposes and not, and yeah, not to cry about my own situation. So just to throw that out there. For those of you who don't know about my background and about how it also affects me, even though, as we will speak about later, I'm not just saying this because of me, but also because of my fellow colleagues, my fellow Grandmaster colleagues. So about my journey as a chess player in general, as a professional chess player. So I've been playing chess since I was 5 years old, and became a Grandmaster when I just finished high school, when I was 18 years old. And at the same time, I also became self-employed in Austria, in my home country.
So, okay, he's played chess.
And yeah, that was in, what was it, 2021, I think. And now it's almost 4 years later, and I just kind of want to make somewhat of a resume of what my thoughts are on all of this, if you're a professional chess player in Europe. Okay. So the first thing I need to point.
Yeah. So basically, what he's saying right here, I'm gonna up the speed a little bit too on the video, because I think it should be 1.25x. But basically, what he's saying is he's saying that so he started playing chess at 5 years old. At 18, he decided not to go to university and he decided to play chess professionally. And now he's 4 years into it. He's 4 years into this journey, trying to play chess professionally as a grandmaster at around a 25, 30 level.
Out is, yeah, absolutely correct. Don't have to add anything here to Hikaru's statement. Everything correct here. When I'm speaking about professional chess players, I don't include the top 20 or top 30 in the world.
Correct.
Since if you're in the absolute elite in the world, then you don't really have that many financial struggles, even though I think people often overestimate the amount of prize money and so on, which chess players win, even if they're in the top of the
yeah. So okay, so this is actually important to point out, which is when he talks about the top 30, even within the top 25 or top 30 players in the world, there is a breakdown to that. I would say that generally, if we understand English, no, but the point that I'm making is I'm trying to get some context here, that like the top 10 in the world, when he says they're not struggling, like basically, I'm going to use a ballpark figure because everybody's a little bit different. Probably you're making, I'm going to say, about $250,000 a year pre-tax. I'm just using that as an average. It can obviously change. There are a lot of different factors, like if you're from India versus other countries. But probably if you're in the top 10, you're comfortably making $250,000 a year. If you're in the top 20, I'm going to say it's like 150. This is all pre-tax, by the way. And top 30, I would say it's about 100 or maybe 125, somewhere around there. But this is all pre-tax. So just to keep the numbers nice and clean, let's assume there's 50% taxes wherever you are in the world. You're looking at about 125K in the top 10. You're looking at, and I'm just saying comfortably it can be higher or lower. you're looking at about, what did I say? I said like 150 for the top 20, so you're looking at 75k after tax, and let's just say it's like 125 if you're in the top 30. That's like I can't do my math, that's like 60ish, a little over 60ish. So you're talking about 60, like let's just say 65k if you're in the top 30 guaranteed, 75k in the top 20, and then like 125k guaranteed if you're in the top 10. I'm just trying to use basic numbers, you guys, because I'm pretty sure he's not going to talk about this, because obviously he doesn't have a general idea, but that's just like a general baseline of what we're looking at roughly. It might be a little bit higher on like top 30, top 20, I could be wrong there, but just trying to give a general baseline. So let's keep.
Yeah, also don't have to add a lot here. Just would like to add maybe that it also depends a lot on the type of player, because there are many players even in the top 20, 30 that don't get a lot of invitations to certain tours or certain events, and in that case their earnings will of course be much lower. But yeah, just to add that.
Keep going.
The game. Like, you cannot compare Magnus Carlsen, arguably the greatest player of all time, with some other greatest of all times in other sports. It's simply another league if we're talking money-wise. The first thing I need to point out is that I don't want to make this video just to whine about all of these things. It's more about giving you guys kind of an insight in how things are going as a chess professional, and also if there are some of you who are thinking about pursuing a career as a chess professional, there are these things which you just need to be aware of if you want to pursue that career. So I wrote down a couple of points which I want to... Yeah, so this is important. I pointed it out before as well. So it was like just as an informational video for people to know this stuff, because from my experience, it's kind of a misconception often that if you're a grandmaster, then you'll have like a financial security and so on. So this was kind of my main message of the whole video, that it's not the case at all. I want to speak of, again, the main thing is about being a chess professional in Europe. Why is that? That's a good question, and I will speak about it now. I think... Just give me one moment, guys. Just gotta click. All right, let's continue. The main thing is simply the difference of like the standard of living is simply different in Europe if you compare it to Asia, for example. And the standard of living, I mean now...
So someone in chat says 200k for top 10 of the world for anything is crazy. I assume you mean that in a negative way. I don't think you mean that in a positive way. I think you're basically saying like 200k is like ridiculous basically for top 10 of anything. So Ben Simmons, I mean, there are people. There was a guy who was riding the bench who makes more than Magnus. I think was it like on the Thunder or one of those teams? I looked at salaries recently in the NBA and it's not comparable, but of course don't forget NBA. There's something called merchandise which sells a lot. There's something called TV rights. I mean, there's so many different things that you can't really compare chess to basketball, so let's not compare it. But anyway, let's keep going with the video before we get too sidetracked.
Expenses which you have. First thing is taxes, of course, even though you could arguably say that about all of the professions. I mean, everyone is taxed the same when it comes to that, all of the professions. But also the simply how much you pay for everything, rent, food, and so on, is from my experience much more in Europe.
Yes,
than, let's say in Asia, for example. The next thing is the recognition of chess in Europe, which I thought about it quite a lot, and it's actually a bit strange to me why it's so little in Europe. Since yeah, so I'm just having a look on the chat. So yeah, this video is more about this video, but of course, if you have other questions, it's all right, as long as everyone keeps it friendly. So thank you again for your comment before. Sorry, I cannot pronounce the Russian name, but people so used to fake entertainment that they perceive serious people as unhappy. Yeah, I have that experience as well. So thank you for that comment. Historically speaking, Europe was one of the hotspots, especially Austria. If you look back into the 19th century, the first chess world champion, Wilhelm Steinitz, was from the Austrian Empire back then, Austria-Hungary, and Vienna was one of the capitals when it came to chess in the 19th century. But all of that changed after both of the world wars. But that's a totally different topic, which is also very interesting. But maybe I'll make another video on that some other time. So that's the main thing. If you're living in Europe and want to make a living as a pure... So yeah, definitely. I can answer definitely some questions at the end of this video. So that's a great idea. And I don't stream on Twitch yet, since I saw one question in the chat, but might do so in the future. For now, everything is strictly on YouTube. Chess player.
Purely no teaching.
It will be much harder because simply your expenses, if you're living here, will be much higher.
Now,
I concluded
there is one important point to this as well, which is this is a Eurocentric video, but if you're in the United States, I mean, it's changing over time. There are terms, but if you're at 2550 GM in the US, these expenses are going to be significantly higher. I'm just assuming you have to rent a place because you have this nasty little thing called airfare, which traveling across this little thing called the ocean makes tickets significantly more expensive than it is traveling within Europe. So all this is true, what he's saying, but it's even worse, in my opinion, if you're from the US, because the best events, the way to try to earn a living, most tournaments are going to be in Europe. So if you're from the US, it's even worse, arguably, in my opinion, unless you're in the very top. You know, you're Fabian or you're me or Levon or whomever. You can play these events in St. Louis, but otherwise, it's actually much worse for the US, for people in the US.
Yeah, definitely. That's also a great point, and it's the same for people in living in Asia or in Africa or basically anywhere else than Europe. So this is one huge upside of living in Europe as a chess professional, because simply most of the events are held in Europe, and your travel costs and travel efforts will be much less. So absolutely agree as well here with Hikaru, and I should have said that as well in the video. Thought here, because let's say, as an example, we have two chess players. One is from, let's say, Germany, and the other one is from, let's say India, for example.
Yes.
Germany is, of course, a more expensive place to live, at least on average.
Yep,
and
true.
both of these players are have the same rating, let's say 2600, and they play basically the same tournaments. Nowadays, everyone plays internationally. They will, on average, make the same prize money, let's say, and this prize money, of course, is worth way more, in this case, India, than in Germany. So this is kind of my way of thinking here. And the issue is that the prize money, so that includes prize money from open tournaments, as well as the honorary, which is being paid if you're playing leagues for some clubs, basically stayed the same for probably 20-30 years.
So
and,
this is also an important point too, because a lot of people probably noticed, but this past weekend, Magnus Carlsen actually played in the German Bundesliga. And the way that professionals, I don't know if he's going to say this here, but the way that professionals actually make money if you're trying to play chess purely and you're not in the elite level is mostly playing leagues, whether it's like the German Bundesliga, whether it's the Turkish league, the Spanish league, the French league, the Chinese league. I think there's even a Russian league. I think most people don't play there now, but like that's the way that these guys earn a living, is you play like a board 3 or board 4 in a team competition, and you collect your couple €100 for every single game, and you try to play as many of these leagues as you can, and then you play a couple of the open tournaments, and you hope that you're able to like play really well, improve your rating, and have one big cash where you get like first place or tie for first and get like $20,000.
Well, no. Yeah, absolutely correct as well. That's a major source of income for professionals, is playing those leagues, and as Hikaru stated as well, playing some open tournaments and basically hoping or praying to get some prizes in those events as well. Money is not the same worth as it was 20-30 years ago. So that's the next issue. Prize money has simply not increased. Many top players have also pointed this out, but simply nothing is changing because, again, lack of sponsorships is probably the main issue here.
Yep.
So these were the first points. Next point is level of recognition, which I briefly also touched on before. Yeah, as I said, I'm actually pretty surprised in how it was developed. I think the main thing was after the Second World War, people in mostly Europe, where most of the damage was done. I would guess. Of course, there were also other parts of the world where tremendous atrocities have been done. But I would argue. Yeah. Also here, I'm not a historian as well, and I don't even want to neglect any of the other parts of the world. Of course, Second World War anywhere in the world was like huge damage. So that was kind of a strange statement as well. So sounded very Eurocentric as well. So I kind of apologize for that as well here, because simply it was throughout the whole world. It was just a very bad time. So yeah, that in Europe most of the
important point, you guys. Important point is someone in chat says say how does chess compare to other board game payouts? I think that on average, you're saying board games, quote unquote board games, chess is much better. Now, if you compare it with games, for example, I'm going to say card games like poker and all the variants of poker that exist, it's not even close. So it depends how you define it. So for example, let's just compare chess to, I don't know, like backgammon. I think chess is much bigger than backgammon is, if I'm not mistaken. If you look at a game like Go or I won't use shogi because that's Japanese and Shang-Chi is Chinese, but if you look at a game like Go, where Japanese, Chinese, and Korean players play, I think that if the top players make less, meaning they probably make like $1 million or $2 million, but I think the overlay is much larger, meaning that probably the top 30 or 40 players make enough to live, is my guess, but I don't know this. So I'm sort of guessing on a game like Go or backgammon. Definitely is smaller than chess. But the thing is, if you compare chess to card games, which are a real thing, chess gets dwarfed by poker. It's not even close. So anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah, I would also agree here that if you're simply speaking about board games, chess is probably by far the best, like internationally speaking, of course. You have shogi, for example, and other Asian board games as well, which in Asia are much more popular for sure, and it will be much easier to make a living there. But internationally speaking, I would say that chess is speaking from board games is actually great. And also, as Hikaru said, you cannot compare it to card games. I think only poker is kind of the exception here. Please let me know if there are any other card games where it's possible to earn a living as well. I wouldn't be familiar with that, but definitely would be interesting. So definitely let me know if there are some other card games except for poker as well.
Chess is weird too in terms of career choice. People get higher rated younger age, and most people around the age aren't looking to chess their career and just enjoy it. Yeah.
Of course, I'm kind of drifting into history now, but people simply had much more to worry about than chess, and therefore, for many years, at least it was like that in Austria. Yeah, chess kind of was not as important as rebuilding the country. But I guess you can argue about different theories why the level of recognition has went down in Central Europe. Please let me know in the comments if you have some other theories. But what I wanted to get to know was that as in the current state we are in now, I think that the level of recognition of chess in Europe is very little in general.
Yes,
I'll give you a perfect example for that. About the Olympiad 2022, which happened in India, in where was it? In Vishy's place.
It was in Chennai.
Yeah, it was in Chennai. So here I'm gonna skip a little bit. I'll give you one example. One includes the Chennai Olympiad 2022, and the other one includes the Olympiad from last year, which happened in Budapest. And the example I'll give you is that in 2022, the very young and fighting team from Uzbekistan won the competition, very deservedly so. And all of their team members, when they came back to Uzbekistan, they got a huge reception. And I think that all of the players were awarded a car. Yeah, so I'm gonna skip this part, just give you a brief summary overall of what I said. So basically at the Olympiad 2022, Uzbekistan won, and they had a huge reception and got a lot of financial rewards as well for that. And then I gave the contrary on what happened in Europe, and also what Hikaru said later on, that something similar happened to him as well, that Frederik Svane and another European friend of mine had the board medal, individual board medal in the previous Olympiad in 2024 in Budapest. And both of them got nothing. Actually, in the video, I said that Frederik Svane received 3,000 euros for that. I was corrected afterwards, and it was stated that he didn't get anything either. So I kind of made this comparison. And yeah, let's continue after that, because there's one more point I want to make.
When Armenia won when Armenia and they got some land, they were national heroes. I know that like with the Russians, they never did pull it off, but the Russians, it was the same thing. And we won the gold medal at the Chess Olympiad in 2016 in Baku, Azerbaijan. And you know how much money I got for that? I got a great bonus of I should look up the actual number, because I always say it, I'm not sure, but I either got $4,000 or $5,000. I think it was a $4,000 bonus for getting a gold medal. So everybody on the team got $4,000 bonus for winning the gold medal. And here you have countries like Armenia or Uzbekistan or India as well, because India just won the last Olympiad, and they're getting massive sums of money. And
so yeah, apparently it's not much different in the US as well, even for the US team back in the day winning the gold medal. So that's yeah, Europe is not an exception in that case. I guess it also applies to the USA.
In the West, chess just does not have the funding in the same way. It does not have the same recognition or appreciation whatsoever. So yeah, I mean, when we won in 2016, we got $4,000. $4,000. That's like 1 month's rent. Maybe 2 months if you live in Alabama or somewhere. But anyway, yes. So it's no kappa at all that the bonuses are for winning the biggest chess event.
So David is writing card games. There are bridge tournaments, and top bridge professionals, according to Google, can make several $100,000 a year. But the professional player pool is much smaller than in chess. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I would guess, like, if you would compare me, for example, to a bridge player from my strength who is like top 400 in the world, I think he would make he would have an even harder time to make a living from bridge than me from chess. That would be my guess now, but definitely interesting to make that comparison. So thank you, David, for pointing that out. Armenia has Petrosian, so that's why they support chess and Arnion recently, but Germany seems to have forgotten they had Alekhine. Yeah, the same can also be said, Germany and Alekhine? Alekhine was not German, right? He was Russian, and then he emigrated to France, if I'm not entirely incorrect now. Germany did have a couple of very strong players, though. I mean, Lasker was one of them back in the day. But anyway, I wanted to say same can be said about Austria as well. I mean, as I said in the video as well, Wilhelm Steinitz was the first world champion, and he was an Austrian player. And also back in the 20s and 30s, Austria had other top players as well. But simply, it was such a long time ago that simply people forgot about it. And in the case of Armenia, with Aronian and with Petrosian as well, it's not such a long time ago. So I think you need some sort of local heroes or local idols to kind of boost the local chess economy in that case. So let's continue.
In the West are not even at the same scale whatsoever. That's what you get with 5 Title Tuesday wins. Let's forget about Title Tuesday. Yeah, that's 4 Title Tuesday wins versus an Olympiad gold medal. Like, yeah, let's not go there. So that really does actually kind of put everything into perspective.
Yeah, that's funny.
Let's keep going.
But yeah, tremendous recognition by their state. And what I'm going to now is that in the Olympia 2024, I'm
gonna be honest, that's not bad though. All things
considered.
So
here I said 3,000 for Frederik Svanne. Again, I was corrected. Apparently, he didn't get anything either.
€1,000 for.
Yeah, very nice. Typical salary in Germany, average salary for 1 month. Basically for one result, which he has been working for his entire life. 2,800 performance in probably the most important event, which happens only every 2 years. And he got 1 average monthly salary as a reward. So I think it cannot get any worse than this. I mean, this is a perfect example of how things.
You know what? Also, but I mean, he's completely right about this, because I would give you guys my own perspective. As many people know, my wife is from Iran, and one of the funny things is that in some of these countries, like especially in Asia, like India or Iran or some of these or Uzbekistan, which is also part of Asia, I believe, is that when you look at these countries, there's so much more of a recognition on individual achievement in chess or anything than there is in the West. Whether anywhere in Western Europe, anywhere in North America, it's completely different. It's completely different. It's like when I talk to my wife, she knows that when I played this World Youth Chess Festival all the way back in 2000, and I got second place. I think I got the silver medal. And she assumed that I got some money from like the local federation for that performance, because it's representing the country, everything else. And of course, I got a whopping $0 for that. I got nothing. Like, I got a silver medal, I got nothing. She actually won a gold medal for Iran at that same event in the women's section, and she got like gold coins. I mean, it's not like thousands and thousands of dollars, but she got some gold coins, got some recognition in the country. And so I think it's a cultural thing as well. Like in culture, it's just not, chess is just not, there's so many other things going on. Things
are going wrong. Yeah, but now there's one of the biggest things I actually need to add, which maybe Hikaru also spoke about later on. But of course, you have to think about, like, in the video, I only discussed how bad things are in Europe when it comes to this sports support and how good it is in Asia. But of course, what I didn't say explicitly in the video, but which of course is quite obvious. I thought that it's kind of natural to assume that, but of course, like I even said it in the video, I think. But of course, like, every person living in Europe can be extremely happy about their life in general, because people in India, for example, or in Uzbekistan often have way more difficult challenges than receiving some money for sports. So this is kind of just a difference. If you're successful in sport, I guess in most Asian countries, the support will be higher in many cases. But of course, there are just different issues in those countries. And I just really needed to say that as well, and just say that again. I'm super happy to live here in Europe, and many people in the comments were saying how ungrateful I was and things like that. It's not the case at all. And yeah, just needed to get that off my chest as well. And that's also one of the reasons why, for example, India or...
Did I get a handshake? No, I got no handshake, you guys. Life kept going.
And yeah, Austria had Karl Schlechter, for example, who played for the World Championship against Lasker. There was also Rudolf Spielmann, for example, who was one of the top players as well. So yeah, there were a couple of them. Also one quite unknown chess player, Erich Eliskazes. You can definitely look him up, who is also kind of forgotten, but beat many of the strongest players in the world as well. He was in the top, I think, in the 20s or in the 30s. Erich Eliskazes was the name, in case you're curious.
Going on. Yeah, like real gold, actually. Real gold.
Uzbekistan has so many of the upcoming very strong players because simply they have the motivation to do so, because they will get the respect and the rewards from their governments, which also gives them the motivation to do so. And yeah, also when we're talking about motivation, of course, the motivation is higher there, because anyway, in Europe we have a much more comfortable and just better standard of living as well. So obviously for them, it's going to be a much bigger motivation as well. So so yeah, it's again kind of obvious here, but just needed to say that as well. And if you're living in Europe, in most of the cases, there's simply not enough of this motivation, because you can simply put in the time which you would normally put in chess. If you want to become a top player, you need to study chess for seriously for 10-15 years very often. And anyway, in Europe, or even in the United States, but especially in Europe, since Europe is, you could argue, even socialistic in many cases, no matter what you do, basically you're gonna live a comparably very comfortable life in general, at least if you compare it to Asia. So yeah, there's not much of this intrinsic motivation here, because simply anyway, no matter what you do, like worst case, the state is going to support you. That's kind of the mindset very often in Europe. People often have this analogy that if you want to become a grandmaster, you need to put in as much time as you would for a PhD, or some academic title, which I think is somewhat accurate. And yeah, in Europe now, many people are just asking themselves, why should I go for that if I can put the same time into something else, which at the end of the day will pay me much more than a chess career? Why should I pursue chess? And yeah, that's the current issue I see. And if this is not changing, which I don't see it happening, I don't really think that European professional players will even be able to compete much more in the future, at least on the very high level, because simply there's not enough motivation, I think, for players to go there from a financial standpoint. Please, again, if you have different opinions here, please let me know in the comments. This video again is, I don't want to spark any controversies here. I just want to I just want to get the ball rolling.
Who is it? Yeah, so this is an Austrian streamer, but his name is Felix sorry, he's an Austrian grandmaster. His name is Felix Bloberg. I was about to say a different last name, but yeah, yeah,
pronunciation of my last name tends to be quite difficult, especially for non-Europeans. So. No harm taken.
He's like 25, 30. It sounds like he's 22 years old. At 18 years old, basically 4 years ago, he decided to pursue chess professionally. Basically didn't go to college or university and decided to take a shot at it. And 4 years later, it sounds like he's doing pretty poorly, basically. And I think he's right with what he says here as a general point.
Well, I'm gonna get into that later, but I wouldn't say I'm doing poorly. I mean, I think Hikaru in many parts of the video is comparing the income with US income, which is probably not that accurate, because simply in Europe we do have more of a, as I said before, kind of a socialistic system. You could even argue that healthcare is in most cases sort of free, and there are many social benefits as well provided by the states. You're gonna have a cheaper life than in the USA for sure. So this, we're gonna get into that later, but the 30,000 I earned last year sounds much worse for US American than it is actually for European. Like, of course, it's not that great either, but I think for my age specifically, most people are in university or working some jobs in a restaurant, waiting, for example, being a waiter, and I think they will probably at least not earn much more than myself. And I consider myself to be somewhat in this sort of educational stage as well, where I'm still improving and improving my network, especially when it comes to coaching and social media and so on. So yeah, I think that was a little bit, just you cannot compare it to the United States, I would say, the level of income.
Is if you're in Asia, it is true. If you have great performances in Asia, you will be rewarded for it. Great performances in chess, you will be rewarded. If you're from Europe, you're from America, you're not getting rewarded for anything. You're not getting...
Yeah, I just saw Hikaru knows how it is for players just starting at chess. Sorry, what did you say? Hikaru knows how it is for players just starting at chess. I'm not sure what you mean. But Leopard, welcome to the stream. Famous person from Leeches. Very nice guy. I saw your channel also got a shout out in the video description of Hikaru's video. Yeah, I saw that as well. So yeah, I was, first of all, I was very happy to see that video by Hikaru. Because especially I also need to say about Hikaru specifically, because he's always been very local, very vocal about the struggles of being a chess professional, basically, and that was also his reason of quitting professional chess, basically, and starting a professional streaming career. So that was also some of the things I always respected very much by Hikaru, that he simply speaks out about this topic, which, for example, Magnus doesn't do, simply also because Magnus doesn't need to do it because he has all these sponsors. But yeah, that's a different topic. So yeah, just needed to say that. Average yearly income in the USA is 77K, in Germany 58K. Actually, not such a big difference as I thought it would be. But yeah, for sure there will be much more expenses in the USA, like personal expenses, due to being, I think most of US Americans have to have some sort of private insurance. Please correct me if I'm wrong here, but in Europe it's more controlled by the state, I would argue.
There are no rewards at all. Like, I remember, you guys, this is the best one is 2016. So the United States won the gold medal at the Chess Olympiad in Baku, Azerbaijan. Great performance. We won. You know, you're kings of the world, whatever you want, however you want to put it. You feel like you've accomplished something very special. And then basically, you know, we have our little party that evening. You go get on your plane, come back home, and life moves on as though nothing changed. So basically, yeah, it's like there is no recognition whatsoever at all. And also, for anybody who's saying this video is boring or why am I covering this, it's because actually, as someone who did play chess, who had played leagues, I actually got stuck in a range between 2650 and 2700 for a little bit. Like, this is something that I can definitely relate to quite a bit. Like, I'll tell you guys one other fun story. So I remember, like, it's like I was like 2680, 2690. I played the Austrian league, of course, go figure. I think it was 2008. I remember how proud I was that I got this 500 euro bill per game. I got paid 500 euros per game, and I was so proud when I could take my I think it was two 500s. Was it one? I think it was one. I took my 500 euro bill and I bought a Hugo Boss jacket at like the Boss store in Vienna. I was so proud of that I could actually go do that. So this is something that, like, actually for me, I can relate to quite a bit. I can relate to this quite a bit.
That people speak about this, because I feel like it's just a little bit unfair. Even though I have to say one thing, if we're already at the term unfair, again, please let me know.
By the way, I will say, however, I'm going to be honest though, I will say, however, using the phrase unfair is not right. Like, you can be unhappy about, like, I think it's terrible that chess isn't bigger in America, for example, but saying it's unfair, like, that's not a good way of phrasing it, because then you do sound like you're whining about it, when the reality is, I mean, you're living in Europe. Like, life in Europe objectively.
Yeah, that's what I also said before, that here I completely agree with Hikaru, actually, with all of the things he said said about my video here, that the way I phrased it was simply incorrect, and for the record, I wanna just say that I didn't mean it like that. And because, yeah, as I said before, everyone who is living in Europe, including myself, should count themselves extremely lucky, and the word unfair is just completely uncalled for here. Also, like, many people also said that I'm playing a board game after all, and I totally agree. The market in general is completely unfair. Like, you see people working on construction sites who are doing incredibly important work, or you can name many other jobs, and they're earning way less than some jobs which are, you could say, like, changeable or disposable, basically. Like, musicians, for example, are of course it's an important work, but at the end of the day, a handyman who is fixing your bathroom will do much more important work for everyday life. And I totally agree with that. The term unfair was completely uncalled for, and yeah, just needed to say that here.
Is a lot better than life in, say, India, for example. I mean, India, like, the vast majority of people there, I believe, live below the poverty line. I mean, there are people who don't even, I mean, it's like they're literally washing themselves in rivers and other things. Like, it's kind of a little bit, you shouldn't use the word unfair, because, I mean, you are living in Europe, and Europe, I mean, the standard of living is a lot higher than it could.
Totally agree. I saw that Peter just wrote in the chat, you could almost compare being a professional chess player to a university professor. You need to create books, courses, develop reputation and coaching. This takes years to benefit from. Totally agree. And yeah, that's also one of the reasons I think it's important to start early for aspiring chess players, chess coaches, and so on. Because I see many people who are just playing chess, and they can make somewhat of a living from that until they reach an age of 35 or so, and then their level starts to decrease. And if you haven't built a certain network at that age already, I think it will become quite tough to do so. So that's another thing I would definitely advise players who want to stick with chess but are quite sure that simply playing alone will not cut it for them. to start early with kind of improving this network and finding students and just trying to build your business, basically. You could say it like that. Leo Pare, definitely there are many factors to consider. I looked it up out of curiosity, and there's likely a significant difference in earnings needed between rural areas and big cities in the US. Yeah, that's of course also quite a big difference as well. I would guess an even bigger difference than in Europe again. But yeah, very interesting to get deeper into those things. Unfortunately, I'm not a huge geography and economics expert, but if you have some interesting facts like that, guys, please keep them coming. I'm really interested in those topics as well.
Could be for somewhere else. So I don't really, the unfair bit I don't really like. I don't like that. I think saying it's unfair is kind of is a little bit like it's shaky in my book, a little bit shaky.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
No, but that's not like I'm not saying anything negative. I mean, you look at India, it's improving. The country's going to continue to improve. I'm just saying there are lots of places you could look at India, you could look at Africa. And so when you say like it's unfair, like that's like me saying, you know what, I'm sitting here in Los Angeles, California, but man, you know what, I'm not making as much money as I should. I should have my private jet. It's so unfair that I don't have my private jet yet. It's so unfair. But of course, I mean, the reality is I'm sitting here in America, and obviously, like, there are a lot of worse places that I could be right
Absolutely,
now. So anyway, let's keep going with the video.
Experience with other sports or know these things. How is it like in other sports, like from getting paid? Because in chess, if you're not in the top 30, I would say, you cannot really just make a living with playing chess by itself. Of course, there are countries where it's easier. Some countries, like Armenia, for example, the national team also has like a monthly salary.
Correct, yes.
But I would say typically, even in the top 100, there are many players that don't play chess professionally. They have it like as a side job, basically, which I think is just a little bit strange and unfair, because professional players, at least in the top 100, should be able to just focus on playing, on competing in the... Again, unfair, probably the incorrect term to say. So again, in the video, I didn't fully... I wasn't quite aware yet how hard it is in other sports as well. So that was, again, kind of a wrong phrasing, because simply in other sports, it's also not that much better. After I released the video, I kind of started to research it a bit more. And in other sports, it's just as tough. So just being a sportsman in general is hard, and life in general is hard to make a living in some niche. You just have to be the absolute best in. So that's just the reality. And I'm happy to have now researched the topic a little bit more in their sport, and not having to coach and write books and so on at the same time. Like imagine, of course, it's a bad example because let's say imagine tennis, which of course is a much more viewed sport than chess. But just imagine, yeah, why is he watching with subs? The accent is not that bad. Well, I would hope so. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's not mine. Yeah, not sure why he was watching it with subtitles. Yeah. I won't take it as an insult, though. A player there in the top 100 playing tennis professionally and coaching at the same time, it would just be unthinkable.
But you know what? I'm not sure that he's right on this, actually. I feel like if you're around number 100 in the world playing tennis, you don't actually make a living. Am I wrong on that? I'm not so sure. Unless you have the right sponsor, I'm not so sure that he's wrong, actually. I'm not sure that he's right. In tennis, isn't it true? If you're like 100 in the world, I'm going to Google this.
Yeah, well, so you researched it now?
Actually, in tennis, they're not making much. But what I would say objectively is this is where, if we're going to talk about failures or things being wrong, I would actually say Djokovic spoke about it recently. Okay. I would say that if you look at this, where was I going with this? This is one of the big failures, I think, within chess is that FIDE, the governing body has done absolutely nothing whatsoever to provide for the players. Like, even if you look at how players and how they earn their income outside of the World Rapid and Blitz, the candidates, and the World Championship, FIDE really does not provide anything. So it's like at the very elite, there's stuff, but I think FIDE, if they're really successful as the governing body, they would have been able to get more sponsors, and the money could be more spread out. But most people, as I said before, the vast majority of the...
Yeah, I mean, that's... I'm not so sure here, because if you're finding sponsors, it will be very hard to convince them, basically, to give this money not only for the top players, because at the end of the day, everyone is watching only the top players. And to divide that money to, like, top 500 players, or even top 100 players seems a little bit unrealistic to me. You have to also see it from the sponsor's point of view. And, yeah, simply... They will, of course, sponsor Magnus, but not someone like me, because at the end of the day, everyone wants to see Magnus, and there are only a fractional number of people who want to see a 2,500 Grandmaster compete professionally. So that's the way it is. I would also like to add, of course, probably there are some things which FIDE could do more. But there are some events, like I think Hikaru didn't mention the Grand Swiss now. In general, events that are part of the World Championship cycle. There are a couple of them, but yeah, I guess you could improve things, and that would be one thing for the official governing body also to support those players as well.
The top 10, they make their living from chess.com, playing tournaments on chess.com, playing the Grand Chess Tour, freestyle chess, all these different things that basically are completely separate from FIDE. Let's keep.
So I'm just having a look at the chat. I just saw Leo. Definitely, there are many factors. No more questions. All right. No new questions.
Long video,
this is kind of the reality. So yeah, let's go to the next point. Of course, this is the main difference between Europe and Asia, which I wanted to talk about.
We'll get to articles about
other things
chess dollars afterwards.
I would say affects all chess players. The first thing being, now I see more new questions. He probably watches all his videos with subtitles just to aid his viewers. Yeah, that's probably good explanation. Yeah, I would hope so. I hope my accent is not so bad, not as bad that he has to watch with subtitles. Peter, I think in Poland, once you earn an Olympic medal and later retire from professional chess, you receive monthly retirement money, but the condition is you can no longer play in any tournaments. Yeah, I heard that as well, that it's also the case in Hungary, and I think in Serbia as well. For example, the Hungarian Grandmaster Zoltan Ribli, who I think won the Olympiad it must have been the 70s, 80s, I would guess. 70s, 80s, 90s, somewhere along those lines, he won the Olympiad with the Hungarian national team, and he still receives a monthly pension, and which is actually very good money there in Hungary, the amount he gets. So this is one thing in a couple of European countries, which is quite a nice system overall. Of course, it's again quite a huge thing. I mean, you would think it's quite a big sum of money which are being used from taxes, but still it's a huge motivation for the players to get such sort of pension. It's a question of culture. The average chess player are so below from a GM that they can't distinguish well a Magnus game from another GM game if there is no name attached to it. Yeah, for sure, but the name is kind of what counts in the end. So that's just how it is. The name is all that counts. Is this also in Austria? No, it's not. You're referring to the pension system. This is only, like, as far as I know, it's Poland is one of the countries. Poland, Serbia, and Hungary. These are the countries I know of where in chess that's the case. There might be a couple more of those countries in Europe. But in Austria, that's not the case at all. So Austria, Germany, for sure, they don't have a system like that. All right, let's. Traveling is often very exhausting, and
it's actually a little bit too slow. I'm gonna pick up the speed. I'm gonna pick up the speed here. I'm gonna put it 1.5 actually.
I hear many of my friends often telling me that. Yeah, big question. This is interesting. Just want to answer that, and then we continue. Big question. Would you ever consider changing federations for financial reasons? Highly unlikely. Since also, actually, I'm quite happy with the Austrian federation. Like, especially if you compare it to other federations in Europe. I think the Austrian Federation is doing a very good job. We have national coaches, like there is one national coach for the men's national team, one for the female national team, and one for youth players. So there are three coaches who are permanently employed, and also one general secretary who's permanently employed. So I think there are these things also. Also, there is money for the players, which they can spend for tournaments throughout the year. I mean, it's not like a huge sum, but if you compare it to other European countries, many of them don't get anything at all, basically. And I'm quite happy with my federation. Of course, there are things that, could be better, but at the end of the day, you have to be realistic. Austria is not that good of a country in chess. Like, of course, we're not bad, especially if you consider that Austria is quite a small country. But at the end of the day, we need to have much better results to get more money for the players. That's just the way it is. All right, let's continue. I get to see all these interesting places and get to see many nice cities and so on. But just to give you an insight on how it usually goes down, when we travel to a place, we land at the airport, then we get picked up or we go by public transport to the hotel. And then we start preparing because on the next day the tournament starts. And from there on, we're just in the tournament. We play the game usually at 3 p.m. Before that, we prepare. After that, we have dinner. We prepare again in the evening. Yeah, let's continue a little bit. I mean, I was just saying that we don't get to see that many places after all because we go there, we travel there, but at the end of the day, there's not much time to do any sightseeing at all, basically. So yeah, now we're going to the coaching section. I would say 90% of Grandmasters.
True. Yep.
The problem again with coaching, when we're speaking of Europe, is that the coaching market in Europe, in my opinion, is severely undervalued. If you look in the United States, for example, you can hardly find a coach there. Again, undervalued is kind of the many things in this world are undervalued and many things are overvalued. So yeah, it's hard to say that, but I was just comparing it from a geographical point of view. Grandmaster under, let's say, $80. When you look at Europe, especially more Eastern European countries, it's very standard. By the way, I think, Peter, I didn't answer your question, but I find it very unlikely for me to change federations. For me, it's not a question at all because, I love my country, Austria, and even if there were some federation who would offer me a big sum of money, I would have a very, very hard time doing that simply because of my patriotism. So yeah. And that's my answer. Grandmasters to offer lectures for 30 euros, something like that. And this in general hurts the market immensely because Europe is not.
I mean, there's a simple reality. There's a simple reality to this, which he's right about this, but there's a simple reality. Here in America, we have the greatest economy in the world. All the most valuable companies are here. People make more money. We have more disposable income. And that's why the rates are much higher. In Europe, people make less. Of course, we can discuss politics. I don't want to get into that. But the reality is in the US, people have more disposable income. That's just the reality.
Not that large, and if someone from, let's say, Russia offers these rates for, let's say, 30 euros, which in Russia is more money than, let's say, in Austria, it's simply worth more, then I will have quite a hard time in Austria.
But this is sad. A little bit more
than that. Since if I'm working,
I mean, this is sad because, like, I'm just gonna tell you, if tomorrow I decided to close shop, like, I'm like, you know what, I don't want to do the streaming thing. I want to smoke back, wear a hat, drink mojitos all day, and go move to Mexico. Like, I could probably do online teaching for like $500 an hour if I really wanted to. And like when you look at this guy, he's like 25, 30, he's a grandmaster. Like he's struggling to make $30 an hour. Like it's brutal. It's just absolutely brutal. It's like unbelievable.
30 euros per hour. I also have to prepare for the lesson. At least that's my own philosophy. If I give a lesson, I prepare. Very often, if I give a lesson for 1 hour, I will also prepare for 1 hour since I want to have my lessons very well structured. So that brings me to 2 hours, and then I will be working basically the minimum wage, something like that. So then it will be very hard for me if there are very strong grandmasters in Europe, in Russia, for example, or in more Eastern European countries who offer these nice rates. It will be very hard for more Central European people to compete with them, simply. So yeah, this is the issue with the coaching market as well. Now we drifted off a little bit from playing to coaching, but this is one very big issue.
He's right, though. He's right.
For a very long time. I can even be very transparent.
But the thing is,
before we continue with what Hikaru wanted to say, I just thought that, I mean, again, you could compare it to other economies as well. Like you see in many different sectors that from different parts of the world, people will do labor for cheaper. So again, this is not like an issue with chess explicitly. Like you have to think about the broader picture here, which in the video I didn't really do in many cases. But at the end of the day, that's the reality and how it is basically.
In the United States, so people can teach for $100 an hour. It's very standard to charge $100 an hour. This guy's a GM. He's 25, 33 currently. I think he's been a little bit higher. I mean, I understand why he's frustrated. Like, I get it, because like 4 years ago, he decided he wasn't going to go to university. He was going to try and play chess professionally, and now he's like, WTF, what's going on? Well, yeah, frustrated. I mean, I wouldn't say it like that, because this was a reality for me already for many years. Like, it's not like I woke up the day I recorded that video and just realized, oh, like, what is going on? How did I end up in this situation? This was already clear for me for a very long time, but still, like, we all love chess and we want to be in this space, and yeah, I love to be able to do what I do, but yeah, simply playing alone is not that sustainable. But yeah, chess is great, and I want to make a living from that. So yeah. Don't know if that makes sense. There's no money in chess whatsoever. It's like one of the things that one of the core points I've always tried to make throughout my streams ever since I started getting into content creation. Well, I mean, there are two things, but the first thing is I've always tried very hard to stress that, like, you know, when you play chess, you should play chess to enjoy the game. Any notion of trying to be professional or try to do these things, like, it's not realistic in my opinion. And I really think the more that people are educated, understand it, they'll be able to, you can pursue it, but understand that there's like a period of time where you have to try and go for it, and then you kind of have to just do either start coaching or do something else, because you're literally never, you're not going to make it.
Yeah,
you're just not going to
yeah.
make it. The second thing that I've also said is, frankly, and I've said this as a way of, like, just, you know, how I don't really think chess is where it should be, is that it's true. Like, me as a content creator, I make more money as a content creator, significantly more money in content creation than I would make as a professional chess player, and it's not even close. We're talking multiples. So that's the other part. Is like, all this is like, I've always tried to say the same things, that basically I think, you know, people who think chess is super glamorous, it's not. It's also why, you know, another thing, this is sort of veering off topic, is I do, you know, is that this is one of the things that, like, I would love to say on one of these podcasts, is like, the more people know about this, like, all the sweat, the tears, you know, the true struggle that goes into being a chess player, that's what people want to see. That's what people want to see in TV shows and other stuff. I think trying to give off this glamorous vibe of people, you know, like myself or Magnus going to these high-end tournaments, being in New York City or London or wherever, is actually, in my opinion, the wrong way of trying to portray chess. Trying to make it look like some glamorous thing instead of focusing on the actual, like, hard work, the struggles that it takes to get there. I mean, I think people forget that, like, you know, I went to college for a bit and then I dropped out.
Yeah.
I decided to take a shot at chess, but there was no guarantee that I was going to be successful. The problem with Magnus, you guys, is that Magnus can't actually talk about this. And the reason Magnus can't talk about this is because Magnus never had to deal with the struggle. He's just super talented. He had sponsors in Norway from the time he was 13 years old. Microsoft, their subsidiary in Norway, was sponsoring from the time he was 13. So none of these things actually, Magnus can't relate to them because he never had to deal with any of this. He's just a genius. He's just a genius. Like, I mean, there's no better way of putting it.
Yeah, it's true.
What I earned last year in 2024, it was around 30,000 euros. I'm just being transparent here.
Oh.
And I would guess, I didn't calculate it, but I would guess I made maybe 1/3 of that by playing, maybe even half of it by playing. But as you can see, it wouldn't be sustainable at all.
$30,000 a year, and I'm betting that's pre-tax.
Euros, but I guess it's around the same now. So I'm not sure what the current exchange rate is, but it's probably around the same.
I bet that's, well, I don't even say, if that's pre-tax, that is
If you guys haven't seen that video yet, just wait for Hikaru's reaction when I say what is the tax rate in Austria. You will start laughing as well, because he just cannot believe it.
Oh man.
If I wouldn't do coaching and making courses and so on, and also starting to create content, which in my opinion is by far the best option to possibly make a living from chess as well. And I'm also using this not only to make a living, content creation, properly, but yeah, also to offer you these insights. I mean, probably everyone would say this, that he's not making content for money and so on. But yeah, this is also very important for me to give you these behind the scenes things, which I don't see many people speaking about. Yeah, so I made these 30,000 euros last year, and I'm living in Austria, so the state will take like 30% of that. I'm left with maybe 21,000.
Oh my God. They take 30% on 30. Isn't $30,000 a year basically considered poverty in the U.S.? You get taxed 30%? What the heck? You get taxed 30% on 30K in Europe?
Yeah,
What?
so like a cultural shock, yeah, for an American. But again, that's what I said before. Like 30,000 in Europe is not that bad as he puts it now. So I guess it's below average, but in general in Europe you will have a much easier time to have a good life, basically, I would say, simply because of these helps from the state. Basically, could call it somewhat of a socialistic system, but yeah, it does make life easier if you're not earning a lot of money, basically. So yeah, I honestly I don't even want to complain about that money at all. Of course, I would like to earn more, but there was never any point last year where I felt poor, basically. Like I had a very comfortable life last year, and in general in my life, like financially speaking now. So yeah, just if you're not lavishly spending on anything at all, I think everyone in Europe can have a very comfortable life with 30,000 euros as well. So I was kind of shocked by his reaction, but again, in the US, it's for sure a lot different.
What? That is ridiculous. And people wonder why I'll never live in Europe. Oh my God, that is ridiculous.
Hey Stefan,
you get 30%.
Welcome to the stream.
What is it? Tax bracket US 30K. Let me see. 30K a year. I'm just looking at the US tax brackets. Okay, if you make $30,000 a year living, okay, California, that means you'll pay $5,000. Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
he's
so that's
just
California.
talking about the tax brackets here, so let's go a bit further.
Left anymore, and it sounds like I'm complaining quite a lot here. Please don't take it that way. I'm very grateful for many of the things which chess has given me, and at the end of the day now I don't really have to care right now about this because I can pay my rent, I can pay for food, and as long as I don't have a family, I don't really have that many responsibilities yet. But the issue starts once you start thinking about having a family. Then the issues.
And there's also a second part which he's not getting into here because he's so young and he is far off. But the other big problem about this whole thing is that at the end of the day you're not always going to be able to play at this level either. The problem.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, your level will also decrease at some point. Usually, it's around the same time when you start to have a family. So that makes it even harder. Like when you were able to have like a more or less comfortable life, and then all of a sudden you start to have a family, which then your costs will increase, and at the same time you will probably reach that age, like around 30, 35, when most people nowadays start a family. Your level of play will also decrease, so your earnings will take a huge way down very, very quickly. So that's a good point again added by Hikaru.
The problem is like your level's going to dip. Like you're not always going to be playing at this level, and as you get older there are kids who are younger, there are people who become better than you, so even at this level it's not sustainable for like 20 years. Even it's not sustainable. Like you're basically you're going to go broke. You're going to be a broke boy. That's all there is to it. It's just not sustainable if you don't improve and get over like 2600 plus. It's just brutal. He's a GM from Austria. His name is Felix Bloberger. He's rated 2533 currently. He's 22 years old.
Really start, and therefore I really want to address it already now, since at the point where I might think about starting a family, hopefully at that point these things might have improved. So yeah, let's go to the next point. Of course, all of this discussion also has to do with simply the viewership and how interesting chess is for the public. And I'm probably pointing this out too late, but simply chess is not as enjoyable to watch for the general audience than, let's say, tennis or soccer, because simply there's not that much happening, and also the rules are way more complicated than, for example, soccer or tennis.
Yeah, sure.
Now, probably the best solution to that is to include more Rap and Blitz, because it will at least attract more viewers. Like, no one will sit in front of the TV or in front of the laptop and will watch a whole World Championship match. Like, games take up to 6-7 hours. Simply, there are not many people who want to take those many hours out of their day to watch one chess game. And the next thing, which is kind of an experimental thought process.
Whoa, you guys said it's a progressive tax system? I mean, he said 30%. Like, I'm just going off of what he said. Like, he said that himself. Like, he says 30, not 15. So, like, if there's
I saw that some people pointed out in this chat that it's way less than that. But last time I checked, there is a certain tax bracket with which I'm in. It is 30%, and I checked only a couple of days or weeks ago. So yeah, should be 30%. If you're from Austria or you're a tax expert, please let me know. But I think if you earn 30,000 euros in Austria, you're taxed 30%. That's my latest knowledge.
Something wrong with it, like, okay, but that's on, he said it. That's not me making it up. He said it.
Mine is that it might be an interesting idea to market chess kind of like a tool to keep your mind healthy.
Yeah, that's one theory, but
already,
yeah, I'm not entirely sure about that.
If you do it moderately, don't end up like Bobby Fischer or something like that, who just goes crazy by doing too much chess. But for the average person, chess will serve as a very good tool for the mind.
I think he's probably board 2 or board 3. Board 1 for Austria is Markus Rager, who's close to 2,700. Board 2, I think there's this guy Valentin Dragnev, and I think he's probably board 3 if I had to guess.
Well,
probably around.
I'm board 4. There's also Dominik Horvath in the team, but this is kind of our lineup currently. So Markus Rager, Valentin Dragnev, Dominik Horvath, and myself. By the way, Hikaru mentioned that Markus has a rating of 2,700, which he used to, but it was shocking to many people that he lost quite a significant amount recently, which again is kind of a good example as well, if we put it like this, because he is now at the age of approximately 30, a little bit more than that. And yeah, you see all of a sudden that your level can decrease quite rapidly. So that's just the way it is.
Makes sense to mark.
Yeah, roughly 30, but a large portion goes into social insurance. Yeah, exactly. But it is roughly 30. So I have no idea what some people in Hikaru's chat were saying. But yeah, that's also my my latest information.
Like that, especially considering the advance of AI and other technologies, which at the end of the day kind of scares me, because people, even now you can see, are less and less
these are just
so especially
theories here.
Done where one group was which think about it as well. Of course, please let me know.
I was just talking about like possible ways to market chess, like if we are speaking about cognitive enhancement and cognitive benefits, but that's kind of a long shot in general.
Here, these are just my own unfiltered thoughts. Chess career, like please for what chess has done for me in general, and I simply want things to improve for the chess community, and because at the end of the day, I think that chess is a beautiful game, which, as I just said before, also has a lot to offer for the general public as well. So about the upsides, again, if you're thinking about
you're your own boss.
Player,
you make your own schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
as I said before, often it's difficult to do sightseeing and so on. But even on the way, like from the airport to the hotel, or even on the way to the hotel to the supermarket and so on, you simply kind of have a grasp on how things are going in that country. Like you see how people are living, you see how people are treating each other, and those kind of things, which just open your eyes when it comes to the world. And I'm very, very grateful for that I got to see all these different countries of the world, even though I wished that I could have seen more of these countries. But chess simply worked for me, so I didn't really have that much time very often to see those countries. But I still always got to know, at least kind of got to know the culture.
Yeah, and, again, sort of misconception very often that as a chess player you get to see all of these different countries, but at the end of the day there's not much to see except for the airport and the hotel and the playing hall, basically.
Grateful of how my life is going, basically. And yeah, that's a very big upside, probably one of the biggest things that chess has given me. And yeah, that's something I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, one of the biggest is maybe a big statement, but in general, being able to travel so much has been, I mean, it's not an overstatement. It has been one of the biggest things connected to chess also, which it has given me, simply because I got to see all these different cultures and different people. So that's actually one of the one of the biggest things which I've learned over all of these years. Like, at least on a personal level, for my whole life, these are things you learn for the whole life, basically.
And the next thing, of course, is meeting people that often result to very long-lasting friendships, because everyone's sharing the same interests, chess.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say that the chess players are specifically like-minded, but in all senses. But I would say that most of them are
same lifestyle,
and that makes it easier.
Same lifestyle.
Once you get to know each other, at least makes it easier often to keep that connection, because somehow you're just sharing something. Is it chess? Is it introversion? I'm not sure, but yeah, that's also something I'm very grateful for. Is that I got many 25 minutes long. I hope that I spoke about all the points I wanted to address in this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, he does teach on the side, you guys, but if you miss this, if you're just tuning in now and you missed the part of it, what he was arguing is he's saying in Europe that because there are a lot of Eastern Europeans, like Russians and former Soviet republics, they'll come in and they'll basically offer lessons for $30 an hour, because $30 in Russia or like Ukraine or wherever goes a lot further than $30 will go in Austria or in Western Europe. So basically the point is that, like, he can't charge a good rate, he has to charge a much lower rate because the market's flooded with Eastern Europeans who charge a cheaper rate because the value of the currency is worth a lot more in their own country. So he's not saying that he doesn't teach. I mean, you can say it's a sob story. I mean, I think the thing is that it's very difficult to, you know, see videos like this. On one hand, it's like, obviously you feel very bad for him. On the other hand, of course, he lives in Austria, he lives in Western Europe, you know.
Yeah, absolutely no reason at all to feel bad for me, because as he said, like, I'm living in a great country and on a great I'm just in a great place overall. So there's absolutely no reason to feel bad for that at all. Again, it was just kind of a way, like an informational video, sort of.
A fairly advanced, you know, culture and society. But yeah, I mean, I think the bottom line is that you know, I think I actually don't have an issue with this video or what he's saying, because I think, as I said, my general viewpoint about all these topics is that the more that people hear about this, the more that people will understand and try to affect change. But unfortunately, that hasn't happened, because as I've said probably a million times on my stream, I've literally said probably a million times on my stream that I make more making content than playing chess. That basically it's better off for me to sit at home and not play chess tournaments. And when I've said that over the years,
again, Hikaru was always one of the people that was most vocal about that. So yeah, he's had his own experience with this topic in general.
Like, I've always thought that, like, you know, the governing bodies or the sponsors, like, people will hear that, they'll realize, like, wait a second, something's actually wrong with chess, that you have a player who's number 3 or number 2 in the world, and they make more money from content creation than they do from playing the game of chess. But unfortunately, every time I've said that, nothing has changed. Like, it just falls upon deaf ears, and everybody just thinks that I'm flexing or everything else. So, like, I think the more you hear these sorts of stories, the better it is for chess, the more that I think people will potentially appreciate chess, and you can maybe have more sponsors with more interest. Because I don't think, you know, I think everyone's under the impression, at least when I look at when I look at stuff related to content, or, like, you know, you see all this stuff that Netflix or other people are trying to film around chess. I think all of it is focused on, like, how glamorous chess is, how everybody's a genius, how great the game is, blah 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 blah. And I actually think taking the realities of what chess are, the struggles that the players have, trying to make it into something where they can earn a living is much more can be much more impactful than something that's just like talking about, like, Magnus and this billionaire guy, you know, doing stuff and, like, all that high end stuff. I don't think that's something that is actually productive or useful, because I think it gives off the wrong image about what chess is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the bottom line of what I would say. Someone also asked me what do I think of this, what I would say to him. I mean, I think what I would say, I mean, I don't know his background, like what he studied in college, or not college, sorry, in high school or secondary school in Europe. But I think what I would say is he should pick something. He should pick some cutoff date, like pick a rating, something, pick a cutoff date. And if he doesn't get to that point, decide that he's going to go in a different mode, whether it's teaching, whether it's going to university, college. Like, he should make a choice. He should, like, say, you know what, if I'm not 2600 within a year, well, I gave it 5 years, that's that. Something along those lines, probably. So yes, Levy and I are both doing better than all the top players. let's leave it at that.
Yeah, that's actually good advice and a good way to end the video, probably. So let's just switch back here. And yeah, what he said in the end is kind of what advice he would give to me. And he said that I should pick like some sort of cut date, what I want to achieve at that point, until that point. And I haven't thought about it that much yet, but again, I'm kind of not pursuing a professional chess career. I think that's how he understood it, that I'm still trying to make a living from playing chess alone, which I'm not. That's one important thing to state here. But yeah, at the moment, I'm not really thinking a lot like that much like in the longer time frame, like in the more immediate time frame, just in the longer time frame, that it would be my dream to still make a living from connected to chess with coaching and content creation. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about this video. So now, guys, it's it's time for any questions if you might have. Also, still, of course, connected to that video. So I saw that Peter wrote, I also think money was the reason why Hikaru declined to play in the last Olympiad. He was not hiding the fact either. Yeah, that was definitely the reason. And I think he was the only US player who didn't participate in the last Olympiad, but there were also some other cases. In the Olympiad involving other countries. Like I think, for example, Ivan Šarić, Croatian #1, didn't participate either. And other examples as well. So in some countries, there is also just not the money for chess, especially in Europe and in the US, as we've seen, at least for most of the US players. Of course, there's the St. Louis Chess Cup, which is doing quite a lot, but I guess on the broader level in general. So yeah, that was all I wanted to say. I think today was some sort of a shorter stream, but if you guys don't have any more questions, I would call it a day pretty soon. Otherwise, just can tell what I will be up to for the next couple of days. The Prague Masters will start. The Prague Masters tournament. I'm gonna be a second there, but I will not tell yet for whom. But yeah, that's one of the things. It's one of the things I'll be working on for the next couple of weeks. And apart from that, I'll try to finish my chessable course about the Nimzo and Rogozin for Black full repertoire. And of course, there are also some other things. Now I see some questions. Are grandmasters less aggressive than average? It feels like a lot of them play not to lose rather than for a win, and it works out in the end. I wouldn't say so, that grandmasters are less aggressive than the average. There are many aggressive grandmaster players in general, but if you're speaking on average, I guess once you get to become a grandmaster, most of them realize that actually to win a chess game, you don't always have to just fully play for the attack, and in the end you will win many of your games just by making basically normal moves. That's kind of, if you look at Bobby Fischer, for example, at his games, that was the main thing he excelled at. He kind of played natural moves like the whole time and made it look so easy, and won so many games doing that. So yeah, there's not always such a glamorous attack needed to win that many games. I would say that's the thing you learn once you reach grandmaster level. What's your recent chess course? So I released the Knight f3 course for White for ChessBase. That was a couple of months ago. Also made a video on that on my YouTube channel, and a video on the ChessBase YouTube channel as well, promoting that course and just telling what is being recommended in that course. So it's a full White repertoire starting with one Knight f3, which I've played basically my whole life. And currently I'm working on Nimzo Rogozin, so Nimzo Indian and Rogozin course for Black, and that will be released, I would guess, in the following months. I've been working on that for a very long time because I'm simply taking it very seriously, because I want to deliver very good lines there. Because again, the Nimzo Indian is also one of the openings I've been playing for so long, and the Rogozin as well. And yeah, I've been working for the past, I think, 2 years on that. So I'm very excited for that to come out. It's probably one of the biggest projects I had in my whole life regarding chess. Thanks for the stream. Thank you for watching, Stefan. So yeah, those are all of my recent chess courses. Awesome. Yeah, thank you for coming again. Already been used with success. You're referring to the Ready course. Glad to hear that, Peter. And yeah, otherwise, I think that was everything I wanted to say. And yeah, next tournament, just to say now, I played this weekend in the German Bundesliga, where I also released one recap today, where I played against Anish Giri on Sunday. And other than that, I'm gonna play in the European Individual Chess Championship, which starts, I think, in 3 weeks in Romania. I think 17th of March is the starting date. So yeah, I think that's it. Leopare, have a great evening as well. Take care and have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Stefan. Same to you. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, all of you, and for commenting. And I'll see you in the following videos. Definitely let me know. You can also join my Discord server, by the way, just to say that, where I'm posting some other insights. Link is in the YouTube description as well. And yeah, that's it. If you have any suggestion for future content, definitely let me know. Always